So today is the day we see if we're right, and another thing that I guessed at. So my guess is most of my guesses are based upon just looking at the price action within the market, see how things are moving. But we'll see. Right now, it's looking like my guess is slightly off, but it could turn around by the end of the day. We'll find out, and it could actually kind of follow another pattern that I said is going to follow. So it's really, I can kind of be right both ways. We'll find out. Um, well, it's only two ways to go. So it's right a matter of being, it's 50-50 shot, which is literally 100 in my world because I'll show you when we get to the charts. But right now we're looking at the ISM Services Index today, and that's what was released so far. We do have Fed minutes coming out this week, which we're going to have a Fed rate decision. So that's going to hit. But before that, what we have right now is it's the non-manufacturing index, basically saying that with the current reading, we're showing expansion in the services industry. So a little bit of improvement there. But we're going to see some more payroll information coming out this week and see how that's going to land. This could have an effect on that. And if that has depending on where that goes, that can push the markets one direction or the other. Interesting conversation I was having with a buddy of mine, Brian, out in Little Rock. Been doing business with him for a very long time. And we were talking a little bit about history in 2008 because everybody's really looking back to 2008 as a reading for whether or not that's going to repeat itself. And something I find very, very interesting as we were talking, it just started to come out. I'm looking at some of the data online, and we're seeing 2010, 11, 12 was when most of your foreclosures and the enormous amount of bankruptcies were filed. Most of them in 2010. We still had some in 11 and 12. So we had that window. But what happens 7 years after a person gets a foreclosure and a bankruptcy? That's when things fall off of their credit. Now, you can still get loans after 4 years after a bankruptcy is discharged, right? Foreclosure, you got to wait a little bit longer. But they don't fall off your credit to really show that really good credit score for 7 years. So what's that average time frame in there, right? 2017, 18, 19, somewhere in there? What happened after 2019? We had the pandemic. We had the lowest interest rates in history hit right in those windows, right? Especially down in 2020. That was the lowest we've seen, 2020 and 21. So think about that. People are in credit jail for like 7 years. And then they come out and we're having this enormously low interest rate. In 2008, the average interest rate for a person buying a house is where we're at now, 6.8, 6.9, somewhere in there. Your average investor is paying in the high sevens. I've seen people paying in the eights. We're very similar to where we were pre-2008, everything prior to that time. So when people come out of this credit jail and then they're given this really, really low money, then what happened? We drive the price of everything up, and we have this massive inflation in housing. Now, once that's all done and people bought, and then the rates change back to where they were, nobody's selling. There's not a lot of movement in that. The only thing we've got going for us right now is potential movement in the market. Is going to be what we have as far as people that are potentially going to go into foreclosure, especially with the FHA world. FHA is having an enormous amount of problems, at least I think it's 14% we've talked about, that are having some sort of issue that could lead to foreclosure. Into foreclosure, that goes in the market. Those foreclosures, which I think is over 1 million, would lead to a lot more people needing to rent. So what does that mean for you as a real estate investor? Inventory, renters. So I personally don't see it as a 2008 thing, but there's a lot of other things at play in the economy. Talked to before about Richard Duncan. Look him up. Did a podcast with him as a guest host. We'll be bringing his data out here soon once that hits. But let's look at the charts. Well, number one, let's look at my prediction as to what I anticipated could happen today. So I was talking with Scotty, talking with Ellen, talking with Carla, and we were saying what's going to happen in the market coming up. Like, well, we're peaked out. This was last. When was it that I did this one? I did this on the 1st. This when I sent this to them. It's like, well, we're going to see it drop. We're going to see it drop again, and then we might see it come back up after it hits this line. Well, let's see exactly where we are today and see if my price action prediction hit. Now, this is the morning. We're early in the trading day. So we had that on the 1st. Next day, did exactly as I'd said. It's going to drop. Dropped again. And look, we're right here. We're battling that line. We actually have a line. We have a support. Have some support here in one of our moving averages that's acting here. And by the end of the day, we'll see if it comes off of that. Now, if it doesn't come off that, where's it heading? It's heading towards the bottom of this channel. So it's going to play in this channel either way. If this is my thought that the only way it's going to come out of it is off of this particular support, which it's actually presently acting as a ceiling, so I still red. I should have turned that blue before, but I didn't, and really it's no big deal. So I'll put this one as a blue, as a potential support below it. But this where, if it falls below here, this is where we're going to hit. We're going to get down into that, taking a hit here. It might bounce off of that. If it breaks through that, it's going down the bottom of the channel. And it could swing around and play in this channel like that. It's potential I could even be widening this channel out, putting it somewhere like this. And this is maybe way too wide. It might be somewhere more in here. That might be our channel. Hard to say, but I'm really thinking it's back down where I was at. That it's back in here. So we'll see how it all plays out and see what our end result is. But, well, it's just what's going to end up happening here later this week. So we'll get to see on Friday how close I was. Till then, I'll get you guys news, see what the Fed does. I don't think they're going to raise rates. Lower rates, but I think it's going to leave it flat. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think it's just going to let it sit. But what do I know? Talk to you on Friday.